This house is very well maintained, so there's no scraping or anything like that. I would possibly need to scrape if it was another situation, but it's not. So, no chipped paint. And it's good to just keep your house where your paint isn't chipped. So, now I am going to paint this door and trim. And occasionally you do have an oops or two. So I will be getting my rag for an oops or two if I have it. So I'm gonna put some paint in several little sections here because my roller is filled with paint because I went on break. When I went on break, I had to make sure my roller was wet with paint a decent amount, otherwise it would dry out. And I used some of the best rollers from Sherwin-Williams. They are not inexpensive. And of course you have to go back and replace and all of that. So if you keep your stuff intact and try to take care of it, life works out a little bit better. So I just take with a little short roller, and now I'm rolling the paint on the door. And after I finish rolling the paint on the door, then I will do what's called cut it in. So again, as I said, sometimes you have a little oops, and when you have a little oops, you keep a dry rag and a wet rag available for little oopses. So, went over the line here. I'll use the wet one. I prefer the wet one, but sometimes I use a dry one also. Now, this is a small, short video. So, sometimes your brush gets all gooky. Gooky may or may not be a word, but just it gets filled with stuff. It gets filled with too much paint, which will make your paintbrush stiff. So after this, I'm actually going to rinse out my brush, comb out my brush so it won't be so stiff. But right now, I'm just going to show you how I cut it in with the paint, with no tape. I hope you will be able to see this closely. You might have to look at it on the laptop because that's only where I could put my phone for right now. And I could actually zoom it in, and we'll get to another demonstration at another point. So I got a decent amount of paint on here. And I take and dot some paint on the door.